The verdict. Welcome back to Null Community Confessions. If you're here right now, start of 2026, still listening, still engaged, still showing up for these stories, thank you. For real. Because we're building something different here. Not trend chasing, not drama farming, not a comment section blood sport. A space for real voices, real experiences, and real accountability. A place where the truth can be told without turning pain into entertainment. And the only reason this works is because you show up with empathy and intention. So with that said, this is episode 1, part 3. You heard a side, the timeline, the red flags, the receipts, the confrontations. You heard her side, the emotional environment, the loneliness, the silence, the way she says everything slowly drifted until she didn't recognize herself anymore. Now we stop guessing. Now we stop debating who felt worse. Now we stop confusing explanation with justification. Now we do what the last 2 parts were always leading to. We make a ruling. This is the verdict. The case file, quick recap. Here's the case as clean as possible, with no extra emotion added on top. Part 1, his story, simplified. They started strong. Real partnership, real affection. Then life got heavier, kids, bills, schedules, stress. And the marriage didn't explode, it eroded. They fell out of practice. Then he notices the changes. Phone face down, passcode changes, lock screen notifications off. Phone always on her, shower phone, under the pillow, screen angled away, brightness low. Then the trigger night, 1 in the morning, guest bathroom, whispering, a notification chime. And when he walks in she flinches like she's been exposed. She says it's work. He asks for the phone. She deletes fast, hands him a blank chat. He recognizes the wipe. Next day he checks cloud backups. Not full messages, but echoes, thumbnails, metadata, selfies she never sent him, shirtless photos of another man, audio clips with flirt energy. He identifies the man, a coworker she had casually labeled annoying. He finds logs and timestamps, calls and messages deleted but recorded. He confronts her. She says it wasn't supposed to be anything, claims it was a few months, emotional mostly, denies meeting up but admits she thought about it. They try to repair. Therapy. Boundaries. She blocks him, phone face up. But the trust is fractured, and he becomes hypervigilant. Then the major reveal. An old work laptop she forgot existed. A folder labeled private. A folder named after the same man. And inside, not months, years, messages that go beyond loneliness. Messages that say, I wish I met you before I got married. If things were different, I would choose you. You make me feel seen. Final confrontation. She breaks and admits it started a long time ago. Can't pinpoint when. Says she didn't know how to stop. That's the core of part 1. Part 2, her side, simplified. She says the relationship felt emotionally unsafe to be honest in. That feelings turned into debates. That her emotions needed proof. That every honest moment felt like court. She says she withdrew to avoid conflict. That the calm wasn't healthy, it was survival. That she felt lonely and unseen, and like she was disappearing in her own house. She admits mistakes, avoiding hard conversations, staying silent too long, postponing truth. She frames it as 2 people living the same marriage through different lenses, no clean villain. And here's the key detail for today. Her side speaks a lot about the emotional environment, but doesn't directly sit in full accountability for the multi-year secrecy and the act of deception. That's what we're about to address. What both sides agree on, common ground. Let's start fair. Both stories agree on the foundation problem. Emotional drift was real. It wasn't a fake marriage from day 1. It wasn't hatred. It wasn't constant fighting. It was slow disconnection. 2 tired people functioning like a family while the marriage engine sputtered. Both sides also describe the same toxic pattern. Silence. He shut down to avoid conflict. She withheld to avoid being dismissed. Both of them found ways to survive the moment instead of solving the marriage. Both sides confirm this too. They stopped practicing each other. Not one big betrayal first, but 1,000 small missed moments. So yes, there's shared failure here. But hear me clearly, shared failure does not automatically mean equal damage. That's where people get it wrong. Because you can both contribute to a relationship becoming weak, and still have one person commit the act that breaks the contract. Which brings us to the separation point, where the story split, the core conflict. Her side says, I felt emotionally unsafe to be honest. I believe that feeling was real. But here's where you lost me. You can feel lonely, and still be wrong. You can feel unseen, and still be accountable. Because part 1 isn't just emotional drift. Part 1 is behavior. Part 1 is concealment. It's passcode changes. It's lock screen notifications disabled. It's the phone under the pillow. It's whispering in the bathroom at 1 in the morning. It's deleting messages in real time and handing over a wiped screen. And it's a private folder on a forgotten laptop, named after another man, with years of evidence. That isn't postponed truth. That isn't I didn't know how to say it. That's a second emotional lane. That's a parallel relationship. And the moment you maintain that lane, you are no longer drifting. You are choosing. This is the turning point. When confronted the first time, the story was a few months. The laptop said, years. That means the confession wasn't just incomplete, it was revised. And when the receipts contradict the confession, trust doesn't just crack, it collapses. Because now the betrayal isn't only the affair, it's the reality distortion. It's the rewrite. And you don't get to rewrite a timeline after the receipts show up. This isn't confusion. This is concealment. Accountability split. WHO owns what? Now we're going to do this clean. No yelling, no demonizing, no pretending either side is perfect. His accountability. He owns the emotional environment he helped create. He shut down to avoid conflict. That's not neutrality. That's abandonment in slow motion. He smoothed things over too quickly. He apologized too fast. He tried to keep the peace so hard that he trained the relationship to prioritize calm over honesty. He ignored early signs of drift. Not because he's stupid, but because denial feels safer than truth when you love someone. And when the distance grew, he didn't force the hard conversations early enough. He let months of disconnection build, because facing it meant risking what he was afraid to lose. That's his part. If we're being real, he didn't create the affair, but he contributed to the conditions, where the marriage became emotionally dry, where silence became normal, and where distance became the default. That's on him. Her accountability. Now her accountability is not she felt lonely. Her accountability is what she did with that loneliness. She engaged in sustained emotional intimacy with another man. She maintained secrecy behaviors, deletion, concealment settings, hiding notifications, hiding conversations. She minimized the man as annoying while privately maintaining intimacy with him. She lied about the timeline a few months when the evidence says years. And here's the part that matters most. She let him participate in a fake rebuild. She let him go to therapy thinking they were repairing an honest marriage, while the foundation he was standing on was a lie. That means every boundary conversation happened inside false reality. Every I'm sorry happened inside false reality. Every time he apologized for making her feel unseen, he was apologizing without knowing the full truth of what he was apologizing next to. That's not postponed honesty. That's betrayal with maintenance. And it gets worse when we remember what the laptop implies. This wasn't a single rough season. This ran through years, through holidays, through anniversaries, through pregnancies, through moments when he thought the marriage was strongest. So yes, two imperfect people can contribute to a marriage breaking down. But only one person maintained a second emotional life. Only one person built a shadow relationship. Only one person minimized the truth until the receipts forced a confession. That's the split. The court moment, ruling principles. Now, listen. This isn't about who is evil. It's about what the marriage contract is. A marriage contract isn't we'll never have problems. A marriage contract isn't we'll always feel seen. A marriage contract is, if we're drifting, we bring it to each other. If we're breaking, we tell the truth. If we can't fix it, we end it with clarity, not secrecy. Emotional neglect is real. Conflict avoidance kills relationships. Silence creates resentment. But loneliness explains the wound. It does not explain the weapon. If you felt emotionally unsafe, the answer was clarity. I'm not okay. This isn't working. I need counseling. I need change. I need separation. Those are painful, but they're honest. What you cannot do is build a second life, delete evidence, maintain a secret connection for years, then frame it like it happened because your partner didn't validate your feelings properly. That's not how accountability works. And this is a hard truth. A person can be emotionally neglected and still choose integrity. A person can be lonely and still choose honesty. A person can be unseen and still choose to end things clean instead of living double. So we can acknowledge her pain without excusing her actions, because the pain might be real. But the deception was a choice. Cross-exam, where the story breaks. Her side contains a lot of I didn't know how, and I get that. But here's the judge question. If you didn't know how to be honest, why did you know how to hide? Because hiding requires planning. Hiding requires adjustments. Hiding requires behavior changes, passcode changes, notification settings, screen angles, bathroom whispers, deletion, a private folder. That's not accidental. That's constructed. Another judge question. If the relationship felt unsafe to be honest in, why did the first confession minimize the timeline? A few months. When the evidence says years, that tells me the fear wasn't just about emotional safety. It was also about consequences. And that's normal. But it's not excusable. Here's the final judge question. If you were truly remorseful, why was the truth only complete when the receipts forced it? Because the clean version of accountability is, you confess the whole truth before you're cornered. You don't drip feed reality. You don't rewrite the timeline. You don't let someone rebuild trust on half-truths. So again, this isn't confusion. This is concealment. The takeaways, rules for real life. Now this is where we make this useful for anybody watching. Rule 1. Silence becomes a pipeline to betrayal. If you avoid conflict long enough, you don't avoid pain. You just delay it until it's catastrophic. Rule 2. Trust breaks like bone. You can heal, you can rebuild, but you don't go back. The relationship reforms with scars, and those scars change the shape forever. Rule 3. If you feel emotionally unsafe, the answer is clarity, not secrecy. You don't protect yourself by hiding. You protect yourself by speaking clearly, or leaving clean. Rule 4. Loneliness isn't a blank check. Pain can explain motive. It doesn't absolve action. Rule 5. When receipts contradict confession, the repair is compromised. Because now the person isn't only hurt, they're disoriented. They don't know what was real. They don't know what else is missing. And in that state, trust doesn't grow. It only becomes surveillance. Rule 6. If you want forgiveness, stop rewriting reality. Tell the whole truth. Accept the cost. Don't negotiate what you did after you already did it. Final ruling, the verdict. So here's where we land. He is accountable for shutting down, avoiding hard conversations, and letting the marriage drift into silence. She is accountable for sustained deception, multi-year betrayal, minimizing the timeline, and maintaining a shadow relationship while allowing him to live inside a false marriage. Both contributed to the collapse. Only one committed betrayal. And because of that, this case is not equal. It is not two sides, same damage. It is shared failure, unequal damage. Verdict, shared failure, unequal damage. If this hit you, if it reminded you of something you lived through, or something you're living through, leave a comment. Tell me what stood out. Tell me what you agreed with, and what you didn't. We don't do shortcuts here. And we don't do fake conversations either. And if you want to submit your own story, go to your submission link and send it in, typed or voice memo. Either way, it's safe here. Episode 2 is coming. Different story. Same commitment to truth, respect, and accountability. This is Null Community Confessions. I'll see you in the next one.